A buffalo chicken sandwich is my idea of a perfect food, especially when I make one using Brian Lagerstrom's recipe. But it recently got me thinking, is it possible to make a Middle Eastern version that's even better? So here's the game plan. We'll make a Lebanese-inspired hot chicken sandwich drenched in a lemon chili sauce and take on this massive challenge.
The first step in making this is going to be making some fried chicken with loads of flavour and a crispy coating. And to make my life easier, we're going to use 8 boneless chicken thighs, which will guarantee us a juicy sandwich. We'll need a flavourful coating, so into 350 grams of flour, add in 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of black pepper with half a teaspoon of white pepper, 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and then to make it Lebanese, 1 teaspoon of sumac. This spice mix should give the chicken a smoky and lightly tangy flavour thanks to the sumac. As weird as this sounds, taste the raw flour to check and adjust the seasonings to your liking. Once you're happy with it, break out another bowl, and to this one add about 350 grams of buttermilk. We'll use this to get the chicken coated in the flour, but set it aside for now. Set up your station with the chicken, flour, and a tray with a wire rack. You're going to take each thigh, place it on the flour, bury it with even more, and then press that into the chicken so it is well coated. And I mean really well coated, including every nook and cranny, because this layer will help the buttermilk stick to the chicken. Shake off the excess flour and then put it on a tray while you do the rest of them. Once you're finished with the last one, bring out the buttermilk to do the second coating, which is the messy part. Take a thigh and put it in the buttermilk so it's fully coated on both sides, then shake off the excess or drag it lightly against the bowl. You're going to place this in the flour, but before you do, Brian Lagerstrom suggests mixing some buttermilk into the flour. This makes loads of craggy folded bits on your chicken, and honestly it works a treat. And then you just add your chicken to the bowl and coat both sides of it really well in the flour mixture. What I do is pile most of the flour on one side of the bowl and put the chicken on the emptier side, then cover it with a pile of flour. This makes it a lot easier to coat the buttermilk without getting your fingers wet all the time. Speaking of the buttermilk, make sure you cover it all up, and this is what your chicken should end up looking like. Loads of craggy bits which will fry up super crispy and no wet spots at all. And so all that's left is to fry them, so fill a pot with about 1 litre of vegetable oil or frying oil and heat it over medium heat. Now wait a moment, because before you even coat your chicken, you need to prepare the other components that will take the sandwich to the next level. The first one I'm going to do is a fluffy garlic sauce called Toum. Toum is the sauce that is used in chicken shawarma, and it kind of felt rude not to include this in the sandwich. Anyway, this is the easy milder version, which starts with a thick cornstarch paste. Add 125 milliliters of milk or water to a pot over medium heat, and then add 30 grams of cornstarch and whisk that in. Just mix it and cook for 3 to 4 minutes until it magically thickens like this. Add that to a bowl and cool it in your fridge for about 15 minutes. While it's cooling, add 2 to 4 cloves of garlic to a blender or jug with 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and then add 125 milliliters of milk or water. Blend it in parts with the garlic until you have a smooth garlic milk. Pour that back out, then add the cooled starch and blend that into smaller pieces. Then stream the garlic milk back in a little at a time. That will transform into a creamy and runny garlic sauce. We still need to thicken this up, so here's 60 milliliters of vegetable oil, which you add a little at a time, blending it until it emulsifies and disappears. It's going to be quite a bit thicker here, but it's not done yet. Add 3/4 of a teaspoon of citric acid or a squeeze of lemon juice, and this will firm up the emulsion, turning it from a sauce into a spread. Move this over to a bowl, and that's it. This stuff will keep in the fridge for about 2 weeks, so you can easily make this ahead of time, but I don't doubt you'll finish it first. And now for the lemon chili sauce. It's the same sauce used in spicy Lebanese potatoes or Batata Hara, which has a delicious spicy and sour kick. We'll mix this with a load of butter to make a buffalo style sauce. You could double this recipe if you want to make the sandwiches extra saucy. Start by chopping 2 hot red chilies, which will turn into a paste. Next is 10 cloves of garlic, and these also got a rough chop. Now you know me, I love making things harder on myself, so instead of using a food processor, these went into a pestle and mortar. I added a teaspoon of salt and tried to pound them into a paste before giving up and using a mini food processor to chop it pretty fine. Once you have your chili paste, add 30 grams of butter to a saucepan over medium heat and add the paste when it's melted. Fry it for about 2 to 3 minutes to cook off the raw garlic, then add 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika and 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Mix and cook it for another 2 minutes, then pour in 4 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice and a tablespoon of white vinegar. Continue to cook this for a couple more minutes, then reduce the heat to low, and just like making buffalo sauce, add 150 grams of cubed butter. As it melts, mix this with the chili sauce and hopefully it will emulsify and stay together. This technique does work for buffalo sauce, but I'm not a chef, so don't blame me if it separates. Brian recommends adding xanthan gum to stabilize and keep the sauce together, so I added a pinch of cornstarch, as I guess any thickener should work. Again, I'm not a chef. And then to help it stay thickened, I used my stick blender to force it to emulsify, and it seems to have worked a bit too well because it ended up very thick. Anyway, it will still taste great. Now both those sauces will be a bit powerful, and so we need something to cool down the sandwich. A quick Lebanese coleslaw or cabbage salad should help to balance this out. Take a green cabbage and shave 2/4 into thin strips so you have a nice pile like this. To that add 3/4 teaspoon of salt and massage that into the cabbage. This will draw out moisture and soften the cabbage. Set that aside, then take 2 spring onions or 4 skinny ones and slice them up into rounds. You also want a bit of mint. Strip the leaves from the stalks and chop this into small ribbons. Take a small amount of dill and finely mince this like so. There's usually parsley in this too, but I decided to leave it out. Lastly, freshly juice some lemons so you don't ruin the salad with the bottled garbage, and then you can put this together. Add the spring onion to the softened cabbage with about 2 tablespoons of mint and half a tablespoon of dill. Use a light touch, the dill can easily overwhelm the salad. Add about 3/4 teaspoon of lemon juice and 4 tablespoons of olive oil, then mix and adjust it to taste. The flavours in this will develop over time, so it's best to make this the day before, but even right away it's a great tasting salad. And with all those components ready, it's time to fry. Keep the oil between 160 to 175 degrees Celsius and add a piece or 2 of chicken carefully by laying it away from you. I'm an idiot, don't lay it to the side like I'm doing. Fry this for about 3 to 4 minutes and rotate them about every minute to help them achieve a perfectly golden exterior. Then when the time is up, use a spider to pull your chicken out and drain it, then rest it on a wire rack while you do the rest. Over to the assembly station, and before you make a sandwich, take a small bunch of coriander, strip it from the stalks, then chop this up very fine. Add your spicy sauce to a bowl with about 2 to 3 tablespoons of the coriander, maybe more, and mix that well. Add a piece of chicken to the sauce and flip it to coat on both sides. The saucier this is, the better. Grab your bun of choice, and I'm going to use brioche to balance out the intense flavours. Onto the bottom half, spread a load of Toum or garlic sauce, and follow that up with the saucy chicken. Finally, top that glorious pile with a load of cabbage salad, and honestly I don't really know what to say, other than this is one of the best looking sandwiches I've ever seen.
Time to find out if I'm a genius or if I belong in an insane asylum. This is just so good. It's worthy of being called an upgrade to a buffalo chicken sandwich. It's got all the original flavours, but then they're amped up with some extra Lebanese flavours. And honestly, I could eat this one all the time. Try it out, let me know what you think, and then let me know what other dishes you want to see me take on in this way. And until then, I'm going to finish this.